Good morning. Welcome to, or whatever it is. Welcome to September 8th, 2022. My name is Kurt Bell, and this is my daily Good Life meditation. I make this video every morning to think about my life objectives and principles and to see how I did applying those to the past day and to plan for the coming day. Yesterday and last night, I slept pretty good. The only thing that woke me up was the dog in the middle of the night, barking in one case, scratching in the other. I've got an appointment for him tomorrow to get his allergy shot, so that should give him a little more relief. Otherwise, I slept until the alarm. I am taking melatonin, and someone at work recommended that to me, and I'm trying that. Maybe that's helping. I also think it's a combination of a lot of things, but I seem to be sleeping a little bit better. I'm still waking up tired, but I'm also adjusted my timing. I'm getting up at 4 a.m. now because the first thing I'm doing now is I'm reading a chapter from Dr. Samuel Johnson's Rambler series before I do this, which also helps me to wake me up just a little bit. Okay, otherwise yesterday was a good solid day of work. Can't say I was necessarily challenged by anything. Lots of bullseye aim moments where I tried to hit the mark and yet failed. One big one during a big meeting that I did, an important meeting, and I tried to pull out the big guns to do something new and different. I'd say it was 8/10 of the way there. It went all right. I'm probably going to continue doing it. I should have braced myself for that a little more. Should have thought about it, reminded myself at this time in the morning of the challenge to come. That might have been helpful. All right. Other than that, I was so tired. My goodness, I got home and Miko made a wonderful dinner, and by the end of the dinner, we watched a little bit of our show together. I was wiped out. I was so tired. I could barely keep my eyes open. Okay, let's do the good life. My 7 objectives are as follows. 1, to be always ready to die, to have my life in a good state so that I can die of a heart attack right now and leave my family in as best I can, my relationships in sound form, and my life's work. Number 2 is to make good and effective use of my time, so I'm not frittering my days away. And I'm not. Next is to develop and maintain good and sound life principles, which I'm doing right now by working on the good life. Then the next one is to cultivate good emotional reactions, so I react well throughout the day. And then to perform good actions. And then to recognize my true limits and my true opportunity. And to apply apathy to the things that are outside of my control. And then to do just one thing at a time, and to do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully. Next, my 32 principles are, pardon me. 1, the principle of war, to always be fighting against what I think is true. 2, to be the principle of reason and the sub-principles of honesty, objectivity, doubt, and humiliation. To be a practical, upfront person with myself, honest, objective, skeptical, and ready to see my embarrassing moments as evidence of growing and improving. Then comes the homunculus, or a suggestion that I don't have a soul, but I do have a consciousness. Then the Anchorhold, the characterization of my life as a man upon a rock in the middle of the sea with the tide rising. The waves are getting closer, splashing, wet and slippery. I might be in the water soon. It's the place where we suffer and die. Then the home of good and evil, right and wrong are mere opinions. And then the principle of purpose and the sub-principles of biology, virtue, and mission. Where biology is my purpose of raising my daughter successfully, getting her to an adulthood, being a good husband and father in that regard. Virtue of being a man that's pursuing the well-being of others, particularly thinking creatures that can suffer pain. And then mission, to share the message and story of going alone. Then comes the atomic principle. Everything is made of bits and pieces. The sub-principles here are dissolution and emergence. dissolving away, and then coming back as other things. So I will die soon, and my atoms and molecules will be reused in various ways, or dissipated away through energy. Then the principle of nature and the sub-principles of composition and inertia. Everything has some particular nature. It's good to recognize what that is. It's composed of things, and we have some inertia. That's our nature too, the movement through time, whatever direction energy we're flowing through. Sounds kind of hippy-dippy, doesn't it? But I mean it that way. We do. Everything has an inertia. I've got an inertia life as a result of all the life that I've lived till now, and as does the dog, and so does that clock, I guess. Both animate and inanimate objects have an inertia. The clock's hurtling through the universe right alongside me. The pirate ride is next, which is the hypothesis of no free will. Free will seems to be an illusion, a very convincing one. Can't prove that, but I'm convinced it's true. And then the principle of maturity and the sub-principles of wisdom and fortitude and integrity. We are mature when we remember our past successes and failures. We have strength to do better, and we have the integrity of following through. The integrity of living up to our principles. That's a better way to say it. Then comes the social principle and the sub-principles of diplomacy, justice, and conspiracy. We humans need one another, and to that end of working together, it's good to have some diplomatic skills to manage our relationships. It's good to seek after justice, where justice is gained through the consensus of our shared life with others. Conspiracy. What is conspiracy? I will strive, I will become we will conspire together. Oh, conspiracy is the conspiracy of us working together towards those better social ends. And then public speaking. And then the sub-principles of small words, rumor, prudence, and gossip. Public speaking, I want to be careful about what I say and what I write. I want to use good words and carefully chosen words. Smaller words whenever possible, not overly flowery or flamboyant. I will not engage in rumor. I will not engage in gossip. And I will have the prudence to communicate in accord with my values, my principles towards the objectives I've set for myself. And then comes temperance and the sub-principles of suffering and simplicity. Being able to control my consumption, recognizing that when I do so, if I'm suffering, that usually means I'm being temperate because I'm denying myself my wants. And a simple life is indeed a temperate life. The next one is life will not go well. Things are going to be tough. It's going to be uncomfortable. Like I'm kind of antsy and uncomfortable right now as I struggle to get through this. My mind is kind of antsy and uncomfortable right now. Both things. And then the horror show. Real terrible things are coming. And now this is where I'm going to pause for just a second. I'm going to try an experiment. I'm reading the discourses of Epictetus right now, and I noticed that Epictetus has an exercise that is performed, which is to imagine the worst. And he does that in order to prepare ourselves for the possibility of that worst, and also arm ourselves for our response. So I'm going to take a moment, as I just completed 2 principles, life will not go well in the horror show, to do what I'm going to call Epictetus's moment, or maybe Epictetus's corner. Maybe Epictetus's moment, I like that better. I'm going to imagine, this is going to sound very strange if I've done this a couple of times, but maybe twice, once in this video, and I've done it in the past on my own, but I'm going to do this now. It's going to sound awkward. I'm going to imagine the worst for myself, my family, and my circumstance. On the way to work today, I could have an awful accident. I could have a heart attack on the route and keel over unconscious while I'm driving along at 65 miles an hour and slam head on into a pylon in a bridge, and that would be the end of me. Car could catch on fire. I could burn alive and suffer a great pain, maybe somewhat come conscious as I'm trapped in the car as the flames are consuming me. When I get to work, the boss, if I don't die, the boss could tell me that, call me into the office and tell me that they've had enough of me. During my probation period, they can let me go. I'm at will, and they can let me go, and I would be facing unemployment and all that entails, and with a college and kid in school, and life to support in the here and now, rent to pay. My daughter could suffer some rehabilitating, painful disease, and be racked through, and have to go to hospital, have to drop out of school, lose all of that. Her boyfriend might reject her as a result of some disease that she's picked up and acquired. My wife could. It's tough when you do it with your own family. My wife could suffer maybe perhaps depression of some sort that would just overtake her and consume her life. Hey, this is tough. Wow. So the last part of that is not just a matter of talking about bad things. I have to then ask myself about each of those things. For example, with me, did I think I was driving to work? Did I think I was not one who could not crash into a wall and burn to death? Or that my work might find me as some special case that they wouldn't let me go? Or that Yumiko is immune to picking up a disease, or Yumiko somehow safe from depression? No. The three of us are human beings, weak, fallible, mortal. Okay, let's see what that does if I start doing that every day. The next one is that which must be borne, and what we have to bear is the fact of life will not go well, and the horror show, and the fact that all the above mentioned things, plus countless, innumerable others might come about. Wow, doing this exercise is like getting slapped in the face. Man, that was hard. It really is. It's like getting clobbered. Bam. I feel dizzy and weak. I also feel put off my feet. I feel tempered and unsettled. That's a good thing. Next is the Feast of Offal, which is the banquet of our suffering. It's when we get upset and throw it out into the world and expect the world to listen. Likewise, when the world does that to us. Then comes the principle of distraction. We distract ourselves with our work and our play and all that kind of stuff, so that we don't have to see that there seems to be no God, which is the next principle, agency and the great indifference. That's what going alone is all about, going deep into wilderness, to not just any wilderness, but a moonscape, a desert moonscape, to apprehend that it appears that there is no God. Then the best seat in the house, to be okay with who I am, where I am, and what I'm doing right now, right here and right when. What? Then the restless man. Funny, that's what I was just reading in Rambler number 5 that I just read from Dr. Johnson. He was talking about the restless man seeking after new circumstance. I'm one of those. And I think that it's something that I know a lot of men are. Some women are like this too. We long for a new circumstance, a new setting, something to, break up the status quo. I think it's a good thing. It's the thing that propels us into what I would call, which is the next principle, the path of wildness, which is a way forward into and through to new life, which leads to the next principle of a great life adventure, which gives us the centerpiece experiences of our lives, the things that make our character and make the stories that we tell later and help to form. I see it now, like Dr. Johnson was saying in Rambler number 5, the springtime of life, heading into it, apprehending to experience it, and formulating that into something that becomes a rich tapestry of life. I get it. Thank you, Dr. Johnson. The risk of, so I recommend Dr. Johnson's Rambler number 5 from 1850. The risk of avoiding risk, the surface level risks of life are education, career, home, family, and security through saving for retirement. The deep risk is the risk of not spending time to find ourselves. I'm going a little fast because I'm running out of time. Sin and damnation. There are 7 sins in my worldview. Falsity, credulity, faith, superstition, dogma, authority, and gossip. To indulge in any of those results in damnation in the here and now. Complete oblivion. If we have no soul, if there is no God, there is no heaven or hell, no afterlife, that means that when we're dead, we're gone. We've gone to oblivion. We won't have any happy reunion with our loved ones. We won't have a chance to reconcile any differences, and there won't be any final justice because there's no final justice giver. The season of philosophy is next. It's a time to record what we've learned along the way, especially after we've had a couple of great life adventures. So keep a pen and paper handy for when the words come. The bullseye aim is next. It's that centerpiece we aim for. We usually miss a little bit, but we strive for nonetheless. Like I said yesterday, I had a meeting that I had that it was about an 8/10 of the way there. I didn't quite make a bullseye, but that's to be expected. Life is the bullseye aim, striving for the mark, but usually missing. The uphill climb, continuing to trudge up. If my days need to be exhausting, utterly exhausting, trudging up the hill, no time to sit around and wait for lounge too much. Arena and utility. Life is an arena for the utilization of our principles towards the ends that we set for ourselves with our objectives. 2 more. Nothing is enough. A suggestion beyond abstinence towards beyond temperance towards abstinence, with the message, the being that the most satisfaction can be had if we can become a person who can be satisfied with almost nothing or nothing. It's impossible to live without anything, but you get the point, right? Grave abstinence, grave doing without. And then lastly, the principle of fun, a reminder to have fun now, to look forward to fun, to enjoy the looking forward, and to enjoy the retrospective looking back. There's my good life creed for today. Lastly, I'm going to think about the day ahead. I have a huge event. I have a training event from 8 to noon that I'm kind of hosting at work. Then I have my meetings, my usual things at work, etc., all that. And it's the day I anticipate the training event will be a bullseye aim. Usually won't hit the mark as I go throughout the rest of the day. And that's the last of the day for me for this week. And then I'm off tomorrow, 3-day weekend ahead. Looking forward to working with Miko to find a new place to live. Start getting rid of all my crap. Start getting rid of all this stuff. And maybe this will be the time we can get rid of it all in earnest and for the last time. Thanks for joining me. Be safe, but not too safe.